I'm surprised there's no applause at that. I'm the Reverend Kimberly Quinn Johnson, and our musician this morning is Stephen Skoldberg. We just get jazzier and jazzier every week. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the South Fork. As Unitarian Universalists, we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every being. We honor our interdependence with all life on this planet and with the earth itself. We honor each person's search for truth and meaning. We encourage peace, compassion, equity, and justice for all. We remember the Native Americans pushed off this land by European farmers, and we remember the people captured in Africa, brought in chains to work this land, and then released to a freedom haunted with terror and injustice. We are committed to healing the pains of our past and our present. In our actions outside of these walls, we help those in need, the homeless, the hungry, the marginalized, recognizing that the whole world is our neighbor, whom we are called to love. Here, in our worship together inside of these walls, the rituals we practice, the songs we sing, elevate those commitments and bind us as a community. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you vote, whatever your name for the sacred, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are very welcome to bring your full self here. This morning, in addition to myself and Stephen's jazzy music, we have a few special firsts. Leading worship this morning, really leading worship this morning and coordinating our worship service for the first time is Anastasia Gogner. And our guest speaker, Georgette Greer-Key, who you will hear a little bit more about Dr. Georgette Greer-Key. You will hear a little bit more about in a few minutes. We also have some special music this morning with two soloists, Lucia Schwartz and Adeline Mastry. Our tech, it's a bumper day. Our tech host this morning is Carl Wittenberg on Zoom and Monica Cesada manning our camera, personing our camera. If you're joining us online, you should have access to closed captioning, and if you are joining us in person, hearing-assisted devices, if that is helpful to you. Do we have any visitors who would like to introduce yourselves this morning? Welcome back,
Need the
Harriet.
mic. You need the mic.
We don't have the mic, and so I'll repeat back that we are welcoming back Harriet. If you are visiting in person or online, we hope that you'll sign our guest book in the meeting house. It's in the fellowship hall. Online, there is a link in your chat, and it's a way for you to share with us a little bit about you and for us to be able to be in touch to share with you a little bit about who we are and what we do here. We have a few announcements this week, and Anastasia will lead us in those. Yep.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Good morning. I just wanted to start by expressing gratitude for this whole congregation. I just am in the early days of becoming involved here, and everybody has been so welcoming and has really encouraged ideas and fresh perspectives, and so I am delighted to get to be part of the worship committee and to organize or help coordinate this service. But I did not do it at all alone. So thank you to Reverend Kimberly for being with me every step of the way, and for Dr. Greer-Keys for making it super easy. And And I just wanted to say, the whole reason I ever became involved here was because I'm the godmother to Lucia Schwartz, who's going to be a soloist later today. And the other godmother is also here with us, Patty McCormick. And Lucia's mother is going to be singing Amazing Grace in a minute, Adelaide Mestry, who's a dear old friend, and her partner Eric. Which is just to say, I was looking for a kind of spiritual home for our whole family, and I feel like we've been very fortunate to be so welcomed here. Other things, I wanted to just make mention for this group, but also for Zoom, that I kind of shifted the order of service a little, so if you're someone who's very familiar with coming here, some of the things might be out of step, so thank you for following along. And in that way, I'm going to introduce Dr. Greer-Key now, and then I'm going to invite Lucia Schwartz to come and do our chalice lighting. So it is such an honor to have you here with us today. I feel like it's especially wonderful for this to be my first service and to be able to have you as the guest speaker. Dr. Georgette Greer-Key is the Executive Director and Chief Curator of the Eastville Community Historical Society. She currently serves on the board of the Museum Association of New York and the board of the Preservation League of New York State. Dr. Greer-Key is an adjunct professor at CUNY Medgar Evers College and the director of the Long Island History Institute at SUNY Nassau Community College. She is a historian, preservationist, and curator using her skills and experience as an organizer and activist to further the agenda of inclusion in traditional frameworks that have practiced institutional and structural exclusion. As we light the chalice, I'm going to read a passage from a beautiful piece of writing that Dr. Greer-Key did about the presentation that she's going to make for us this morning. She writes,
Please click closer to the mic. Closer to the mic.
Is that better? Okay.
Yes.
We have the opportunity and responsibility to right the wrongs and to make sure history is inclusive. The misrepresentation of African American history will continue if we don't make a stronger effort to preserve what we know and to protect material evidence of that past. And now Reverend Kimberly is going to lead us in Joys and Concerns.
No, thank you. This is one of those places where our order is a little changed, and so we invite you to enter into this more reflective, this more prayerful moment as we share the deep joy and sorrow and concerns of our hearts. If you have something that you'd like to share, we invite you to come to the microphone, and I will light a candle. And if you are joining us online and have something that you would like to share, we invite you to unmute yourself. If you're joining on the phone, you can unmute yourself by pressing *6, and we'll spotlight you and hear your share as well. All the love that we hold in our hearts and that we share in community, for ways that we are able to learn and grow together, a celebration of history, a celebration of our families, for the magic that is medicine, for the healing of our bodies and our spirits. We share these prayers, we share this warmth, and may you carry it with you into the week that comes. We are going to sing a song together, so I invite you to rise as you feel willing and able to join together in singing hymn 1007 in your teal hymnal. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Georgette Greerkey, and I'm just so happy to be here today. I got carried away with the hymn. It was so inspiring, and I'm so happy to be here in a spirit of collective gratitude. I could feel it permeating all through my body, and so I welcome that great feeling from being with you, when we can come together and join in like this. It just makes you understand the joys of the world that we are here together. So I'm here to talk to you about the life of Pyrrhus Concer. And as we think about it, 209 years ago, that man named Pyrrhus Concer was born not too far from here to an enslaved mother on March 17th in 1814. His mother's name was Violet, and because of her station in life, her son would be indebted to a life of servitude and bound to forced labor. But even though that station was legal, he still made a way to be a person that is great. And so what is this thing that had him born into indentured servitude? That was a law of the gradual emancipation of 1799, which was the first legislative act to attempt to free enslaved children after July 4th, 1799. He spent some years in enforced servitude to his mother's enslaver. His father was Shadrach Concer. But despite the state of captivity, he would go on to be one of the most celebrated men of his time and that of his counterparts. Pyrrhus Concer's personal and professional life is an exceptional testimony to the survival of American chattel slavery. His life reminds us that the North, New York, right here on our lands where we stand, that there was slavery. It was a place that existed, and we don't have to look down south to understand this history of chattel slavery. Pyrrhus Concer transitioned that station of slavery, of indentured servitude. He transitioned after his life of being a servant, a child sold at 5 years old. He earned his freedom. He earned it. He became a wellman, an inventor, a father, a husband, a Christian, and a philanthropist. His life would go on with great triumphs, such as the 1843 voyage on the Manhattan to the Pacific. This voyage is one that is synonymous in history with Mercator Cooper, who was the son of Concer's first enslaver, Nathan Cooper. But this voyage was one that helped save 22 shipwrecked Japanese sailors and return them back to Japan, becoming the first Western vessel that was allowed in Tokyo because of the embargo. And so when you think about this story, the story that is being told by his counterparts is that they were fascinated by Pyrrhus Concer's voice. It was melodic. They were captivated by his stature, the color of his skin, and who he was. And because of this, they were greeted greatly by the emperor. They came down, they provided provision for the ship, and they were able to move forward and take part in celebrations throughout their time there. And this momentous recollection of this history was captured in a 1912 magazine, the Southampton Magazine by Charles Jager. After this celebrated life in maritime history and career that Concer had, he came back home, and he wasn't done yet. He wasn't done with whaling, but unfortunately, the industry would come to a close. And then he went to California for the gold rush to try his hand at being one of the next persons that strike it big. But he didn't strike it big. He actually came back home and started a ferry business and a boat rental business. So he was an entrepreneur. He settled in his homestead with his grandmother, his wife Rachel, and his son James. His grandmother Esther was one of a testament that we look at manumissions and understand how she too was a part of slavery, but was able to overcome, and the land that they lived was their homestead. Because he was an entrepreneur, he was also able to invest in real estate, and many of the property by Agawam Lake was owned by his family and him. His legacy includes having a fund at the First Presbyterian Church of Southampton. That is where he left a lasting legacy, giving to others in need and in service of his community. Upon his death, he left his entire estate of $5,000 to the church for various charitable organizations, with the largest sum being left for Christian education. $5,000 in 1847 is the equivalent to the purchasing power of about $183,439 today. So that was a large sum to leave. On August 23rd of 1897, he would take eternal rest. Pyrrhus Concer's story is one of perseverance, triumph, and hard work. Through exploring his life, the past can help us be a site, a place, and think about the consciousness of the present time that we're currently living in. He is remembered by many in his time as being a man of great character. And the Reverend Jesse Halsey wrote that he was good as gold in a poem about Pyrrhus Concer after his death, a nod to the California Gold Rush. The epithet that was written by his neighbor, the 38th United States Secretary of State and 1912 Nobel Peace Prize laureate Eli Root, reads, "Though born a slave, he possessed the virtues with which kings are but slaves."
Thank you, Church Ed. This is the moment in our service when we invite our children off to childcare with Kim. And of course, your children are welcome in the entire service. If we are going to childcare, I invite those of us who are remaining to join in singing them off with the small hymn in your order of service. Go now in peace. And for those remaining, we invite you to rise as we sing together hymn 205 in your gray hymnal, Amazing Grace.
Okay, I'm gonna make a little announcement.
Ooh, announcements.
So for Amazing Grace 205, we are graced by Adelaide, who is going to sing verses 1 and 2, and then we'll go back to verse 1 and sing together.
Can I tell you a little story about Amazing Grace? Which is fitting for this particular service. You may not know, but you may, that Amazing Grace was written by a sailor who sailed ships that brought people into captivity and slavery. And so having an epiphany, a change of heart and spirit about the work of enslaving, he wrote this hymn, Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. 'Tis grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my soul relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Back to verse 1. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see.
Thank you for that wonderful solo, and then the congregation joining in. I just felt that all through my body, that amazing grace that we often hope that is with us, that we carry along with us a long way. So now that I've told you about this amazing man, his character, his integrity, his willing to give to the community, I think about where we are today. And so part of what we're going to talk about is the legacy effort to preserve his home. How do we make this place a place that is celebrated by all of us? Unfortunately, after extensive public advocacy and debate, in 2013, the homestead of 3 generations was demolished. The village of Southampton issued a certificate for demolition. If you understand the history of our country, land was the pathway to citizenship. And so with that, we start to think about how important that this family that came from enslavement to freedom was able to purchase this land and pass it down through generation to generation. And so when we think about why this was done and how this was done, is because there was a lack of awareness, and there is an existence of exclusion of this great man and that of the history of many of the indigenous and African Americans that helped build this community, that were here before contact with Europeans. And so when we think about this great man, Pyrrhus Concer, and his contributions to American history, Southampton's native son, he's worth fighting for. And with that, a group of concerned citizens, much like yourselves, came together to restore justice to his name and to be included in the official record. The Pyrrhus Concer Action Committee was born. Our mission seeks to preserve the historic homestead located at 51 Pond Lane, Southampton, prime property. We promote the preservation, enhancement, and access and sustainability of the Pyrrhus Concer homestead, a rare and diverse historic resource to educate the general public about his life, achievements, and his station that he overcame. The Pyrrhus Concer Action Committee has worked ceaselessly to see that his home will fully be restored and open to the public for their use. Through our efforts, community engagement, and support from the community, we successfully advocated for the town of Southampton's Community Preservation Fund to secure the property and a path forward to the tune of $4.5 million. And again, this is many hands making the load light. So we count on persons like Assemblyman Fred Thiel. We count on Supervisor Jay Snyderman to help us with this, and they have helped us moving forward. To date, it has been 9 years, thousands of hours combating bureaucracy, discrimination, and ignorance. On this journey, we are determined to the memory and to telling the whole story, to telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth. When the property was demolished, we were able to obtain some of the original timbers. Those timbers are like a puzzle with Roman numerals. The timbers and the artifacts that are part of the collection we now hold was reassembled in a factory so we could evaluate the structure. And then we had to, after evaluating it, we had to deconstruct it, and it now awaits being rebuilt on the original footprint at 51 Pond Lane. This property has now since been listed as the second African American landmark designated by the village. We've had a street dedication and renaming of Pond Lane to Concer's Way. We have reenacted the ferry service and exhibited his artifacts retrieved from the archaeological dig at many institutions, currently including being at the Welling Museum and Education Center of Cold Spring Harbor. Also at the Long Island Museum of History in Stony Brook. The Pyrrhus Concer Action Committee is in an intermunicipal and license agreement to design and operate the homestead. We have a design team that consists of a project manager, an architect, infrastructure engineering, civil and site engineering, traffic engineering, landscape architect, transportation planning, transit planning and civil engineering, a senior environmental planner, a zoning attorney, and a grant writer. So as you can imagine, this project is a long time coming. We remain vigilant and cautiously optimistic. A redesign can be the process of moving it forward. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. We hope that you join in with this effort to rebuild this site worthy of a king.
thank you for this presentation and really for this good work that you all are doing. We want to invite you first to sing the last hymn that we will sing together in your teal hymnal. It's 1064, Blue Boat Home. I invite you to rise as you feel willing and able. Friends, we support our work together in this beautiful Blue Boat Home with the talent of your spirits, the time of your hands, and the treasure of your pockets. Your financial contributions help to support the ongoing work of this congregation, both in our walls and in our communities. You are able to give with the baskets that will circulate if you're joining us online, with the link in the chat, or with the QR code on your order of service. Very high tech. Your gifts will be gratefully received. Thank you. Thank you for all of the ways that you express your generosity.
Just want to thank you again, Georgette. That was a wonderful description of the legacy of Pyrrhus Concer, and just so glad you could join us this morning. And one of the announcements I forgot earlier is that in celebration of what would have been the 209th birthday of Pyrrhus, thank you, we're going to have a birthday cake at the lunch that follows this service today. And the cake was baked very generously by Katie Lagare, another congregation member who couldn't be here this morning. So please stay and celebrate the birthday. And for the meditation this morning, I'm going to read the poem that Georgette mentioned in her talk. It's a poem by Jesse Halsey that was written to honor Pyrrhus Concer. So I invite you to just make sure you're comfortable and feel free to close your eyes. It's not a long poem, but I invite you to just let the day sort of integrate into your system and receive these words. Pyrrhus Concer, black as the ace of spades. I heard my older brother say it. Pyrrhus was like that. Good as gold, father said. Both were true. One talked about the outside, the other about the inside. Both were true, equally true. Little gold rings in his ears, an African sure enough, but trusted by everybody. Had his own pew in the church, not way up front, not way back either. He sailed a boat on the town pond in his old age, carried the children to the beach and charged a nickel. Everybody trusted Pyrrhus. Mothers sent their children to the beach. He looked after them. Many fathers had reason to trust him. They'd been to sea with him. He'd saved the lives of more than one of them. Everybody liked Pyrrhus. Good reason. Then he died. They put up a granite stone. We knew the date he died, of course. No one knew when he was born, nor did he. So on the stone was carved, this from Tacitus. It was selected by Pyrrhus' neighbor, Elihurut, and it read and reads, though born a slave, he possessed those virtues without which all men are but slaves. Black as the ace of spades, good as gold, equally true. Thank you.
It has been a morning. If you're joining us on Zoom, that room will remain open for a few minutes for informal conversation when service is over. If you're joining us here in the meeting house, we hope you'll join us in our fellowship hall for a light lunch to celebrate the members of this congregation and also the life of Pyrrhus Concer. And I want to thank our greeters this morning, Martha Potter, our hospitality host, our care and connection team, and remind you that you can sign up to take your turn as either a greeter or a hospitality host by using the sign up in our fellowship hall. And we hope you'll join us next week for an exploration of Women's History Month. And the sign up online. There's so many ways for you to share your gifts with this community. These closing words are from the Reverend Eric Williams. Blessed is the path. Blessed is the path which you travel. Blessed is the body that carries you upon it. Blessed is your heart that heard the call, your mind that discerns the way. Blessed is the gift that you will receive by going. Truly blessed is the gift that you will become on the journey. May you go forth in peace. We extinguish our chalice with a little help from Lucia, who will then also solo our closing song. The unison words are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. I don't care, so call us crazy. We're on our way to a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build. Every room inside is filled with things from far away. Special things I can pile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. I don't care, so call us crazy. We're on our way to a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. However big, however small, let me be part of it all. Share your dreams. I close my eyes to see. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. I think of for the world we're gonna make.